if you watched Raw last night, or if you've seen any of the reviews for it this morning, then you'll know that Finn Balor won the number one contendership for the Universal title against Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble. And a lot of people are excited for Finn. They think he's going to win, and that's fine. I'm glad that they're excited for something the WWE actually did, and I'm excited for the match. Although personally, I think it's a little too soon for Finn to be in the running against Brock Lesnar. And I'm just saying that because we're only at the Royal Rumble. Yes, we're about 2 to 3 months away from WrestleMania and all that. But if you want to push the Finn Brock storyline to WrestleMania, even, then you're going to want to pace yourself and not pull the trigger too soon. And I think that's what they are doing at the moment, especially since this is Finn Balor we're talking about. He's one of the most famous stars to come out of NXT in the last couple years, and people have been wanting him to get the push he so rightfully deserves. The thing is, it's Brock Lesnar who holds the Universal title right now, and everyone who's gone up against Brock, with the exception of Goldberg in 2016 to 2017, has gotten beaten down to a bloody pulp. Look at John Cena at SummerSlam 2014, and then look at Roman Reigns every time he went up against Brock Lesnar. The only time Roman actually managed to beat Brock and pin him was at SummerSlam, I believe, and that was because Braun Strowman helped him. At least that's what I heard. I didn't get to see SummerSlam last year, but from what I heard, that is how it went down. Uh, Undertaker. Of course, the biggest news between Brock and Undertaker in the last few years is that Brock beat Undertaker's WrestleMania streak. And they're not just going to give Undertaker's WrestleMania streak to anyone. They gave it to a guy like Brock Lesnar for a reason. And they're not just going to have someone like Finn Balor, who is a great athlete in and of himself, come in and just beat Brock right off the bat. It's not going to work that way. At least I don't see it working that way because, like I said, Brock has too many victories, too many big victories under his belt, and Finn has not had the best of runs in the last year. Like, he has just been floundering in the mid card, and now he wins two matches. One against Jinder Mahal, who isn't that well received by the fans anyway, and then a fatal four-way against John Cena, who he pinned, which is a amazing accomplishment. But you also got to give credit to Drew McIntyre and Baron Corbin, who helped weaken Cena. I just don't think Finn is ready. They can't. It's just. It doesn't make sense, especially in the world of sports, which to have a guy like Finn, who has been floundering in the mid card the past year, to just suddenly become a superhuman and take Brock down after everything Brock has achieved. In sports, the majority of people in sports who are good, they didn't just start out that way. There are some cases of prodigies here and there, but for the most part, most good professional athletes have to train their way up the ladder to be able to stand against the other professional athletes that have reached legendary status in their own sports. And Finn is just not there yet. He has not been built up enough. He has not had enough time to showcase what he can do to his fullest potential. Not to a full potential good enough to take down Brock. They need to stretch this out. And 3 months from the Rumble Mania is just not enough time for them to do that. Finn is not Goldberg. He, especially against a guy like Brock, he can't just come in and kick the door down and just beat the hell out of Brock and take the title. It's not going to work that way, especially with how the WWE operates. So what they need to do is, like I said before, stretch it out. They should have gone with Cena last night. Have the story be, oh, Cena has his opportunity to get his 17-time championship against the man who, if you think about it, you can argue was the guy who really started Cena's downward decline, because Cena has taken a lot of big losses in the past few years ever since he got beat by Brock at SummerSlam 2014. So I would say have Cena be the one to win last night and have him go up against Brock. Meanwhile, you already laid the foundations of Finn thinking he's not good enough in the eyes of Vince McMahon, but he is good enough in the eyes of the people. So basically, it's another Daniel Bryan storyline. But you don't just pull the trigger on it come Mania. You have Finn go into the Rumble and try to win it. Have him be the Iron Man like he was last year, I think it was. He lasts the longest out of anyone. Have him be the second to last guy who gets eliminated. And I would say right now everyone's saying Seth Rollins is the prime person to take Brock on at Mania. I would say have Seth win the Rumble and have him go after Daniel Bryan and the SmackDown title, because Daniel Bryan and Seth Rollins, I think that's kind of a dream match that people would love to see. They're both great in-ring tacticians, and they have both tasted the championship before. They know what it's like to carry it and what it's gonna take to hold the entire Raw, SmackDown, whatever show it ends up on, to how it needs to be held. So you have Seth go and challenge Bryan. That opens the door for Balor to fight in the Elimination Chamber, and he is the star of the show. Ever from the moment we start the Raw after Royal Rumble to the moment that the Elimination Chamber match is going on, you have Finn Balor be the center of attention, and you you have him start out the match. He is one of the two guys who starts out the match. Like, you could even say Finn Balor has the worst luck in the world by having Finn Balor start out at number 102 in the Rumble, and then he starts out at number 102 in the Elimination Chamber. So all the odds are stacked against him, whether you want to call it the universe or God. They're stacking the odds against Finn Balor, and it might be a sign that he really doesn't have what it takes. That's when Finn shines brighter than he has ever before. Even brighter than pinning Cena last night on Raw. Even brighter than pinning Roman Reigns to own the opportunity to fight Seth for the Universal Championship a few years ago. Now, the thing is, you need to have some of the toughest guys in the Elimination Chamber with Finn. So I would say have Cena in there. Say he didn't manage to get the job done against Brock, but he just missed it. Brock barely managed to edge past him. So you have Cena. And then the second guy you would want to put in is Braun Strowman, given what happened last night on Raw. He feels cheated out of the Universal Championship that he didn't even get to fight for. So you put those two guys in. Then I would say put Seth, not Seth. I would say put Dean in. Put Dean in because it just seems fitting he would be in it. Followed by McIntyre because he seems to be getting pushed really, really well. And then Baron Corbin. Those five guys are who he goes up against. So you have Cena and Braun, who are the two muscle-bound guys, and the experienced guy in Cena, who is going to lead Finn on a bunch of spectacular wrestling sequences that he's going to have trouble keeping up with. He's going to have to prove he can keep up with Cena. And then, of course, you have Braun, who's a tank that just destroys everything in his wake. So you already have those two obstacles. And you also have Baron and McIntyre, who do not like him. And you have Dean, who also doesn't like him, has had a few run-ins with him in the past few months. And he's also just the biggest prick in the WWE, or at least on Raw at the moment. So you have those five guys. They are all against Balor for one reason or another. And just like what happened last night on Raw, you prove Cena does endorse Balor by having them team up to help take out the other foe combatants. But then, say you have Cena take out two of them, and you have Balor take out two of them, it comes down to just Cena and Balor. Uh, that's when it's crunch time for Balor. He either puts up or he shuts up. And Cena, say he was the last guy out of the pod, so he's the freshest guy. So even after defeating the other four guys, now Balor has to take on a mostly fresh Cena. It's basically a really intimidating boss fight in a video game. And they go for, say, 15 minutes by themselves. Cena can hit Balor with two AAs, maybe even a third. Actually, no, just two AAs. Okay, we don't want to launch Balor into superhuman status just yet. It would be unbelievable for it to happen just next month. So have Cena hit two AAs, but Balor manages to kick out at each time. Cena goes for a third, and then for whatever reason, Balor manages to reverse. He can throw Cena into one of the pods, and Cena falls flat like he did in real life last night. And then Balor sees the opportunity. He climbs up to the top of the pod that Cena crashed into, does the coup de grace, and he pins Cena, becomes the number one contender for the Universal title at WrestleMania. Now here's the most important thing. The build-up to WrestleMania. Now that Balor has gotten rid of Cena, and he's starting to prove some of his doubters wrong, he needs to have a good a good showcase with Brock before Mania itself. So you need to have Brock, say, at least 2 weeks out of the 4-week build-up, or however many weeks it's going to be this year. You have him, like, if it's a 4-week build-up, 2 weeks. If it's a 5-week build-up, 3. Something like that. So you have Brock. He will come in. Paul Heyman will talk trash. He will tell Balor. He will tell everyone that Balor is no good. Excuse me. Yeah, he will tell everyone Balor is no good, and Balor gets a little fed up. And it will be one of those segments where for some reason Paul Heyman is alone, and Balor decides he's had enough of Heyman's trash talk, and he's about to just lay into Heyman. He's about to let all his frustration loose, and since Brock Lesnar isn't around, it's going to be Heyman who he punishes for, at least for the time being. And then, of course, you have that typical moment where Brock comes out. Turns out he was here all along, and you have Brock beat the living hell out of Balor that first week that he appears. And then the next week, Balor comes out. He's alone. No Paul Heyman. No Brock Lesnar. But you do have people such as Vince McMahon. They come up to Balor in backstage segments, or maybe they see each other in the ring. And Vince McMahon, especially after what happened last night, is like, look, I believe in you for the most part. I can tell you have incredible heart, you have incredible talent, but this is Brock Lesnar we're talking about. And I just saw him beat you to a bloody pulp last week. Worse than he did Cena, worse than he did Undertaker, worse than he did Reigns, worse than he did Goldberg at WrestleMania 33. it was one of the most savage beatings I've seen him lay into a guy. And you, compared to the rest of those guys I mentioned, you have done the least amount of things to make Brock mad. Imagine what he's gonna do all over the competition between you two. And Balor's like, I don't care. I own my shot. I don't care if he's stronger. I'm going for it. And you are not going to stop me. And so Vince decides he has to show Balor that there's just no way, no chance in hell, pun intended. And so he brings out Braun Strowman, and he says, "Look, Braun paid his dues. Everything's paid off the limo, and I would feel much better if I had the monster among men go up against Brock at Mania than you, just because I don't want to see you get hurt." And then they have the match that becomes the main event of that Monday Night Raw in particular, and you have it be a really bloody affair. You have Braun break Finn's face open, and then you can even have Finn fight back and manage to break Braun's face open. It just to show just how far Finn is willing to take this, both offensively and defensively, just to get a chance at Brock Lesnar. And for one reason or another, just like he did with Cena in Elimination Chamber, he manages to defeat Braun. Only not by pinfall, not by submission, but by countout. That will get everyone questioning. And then you have the next week, it's a rematch. You have Braun versus Finn, and this is winner takes all. Whoever wins, for whatever reason, is the number one contender for the Universal title. And so there was Braun in one corner, there was Finn in the other. They fight. It's just as vicious as the week before. And then, just as Finn, it looks like Finn is finally about to beat Braun with a coup de grace. Brock's music hits. He comes out, beats up both of them. He doesn't care about either of them. He doesn't care about fighting at Mania because the rumor is he doesn't care about working at all. So you have him come out, lay waste to Finn, and you have him lay waste to Braun Strowman, and it ends in a no contest, like it's inconclusive. And then finally, you will get to the final Raw before Mania, and everyone's contemplating maybe there was going to be a third match between Braun and Finn. And this time, Finn is just knocking on Vince's office. He's just like, look, I'm tired of this shit. I've proven myself time and time again. I'm going toe-to-toe with Braun and Brock and whoever else you throw at me week after week, and I've proven I can stand toe-to-toe to them. So just let me have the opportunity. I already won Elimination Chamber. I have this right. And so there is no fight. Vince sees how serious Finn is, and he's like, okay, you can have the match with Brock, but if you lose, then that's it. I don't want to hear any more of this. There will be no rematch. Like what they've been going with already. Finn will have to go to the back of the line. And so WrestleMania comes. Finn faces Brock. He puts on a good showcase, but Finn loses nonetheless. And he goes to the back of the line. This is the prime building or stepping stone for him to start his journey to SummerSlam. And you just keep on Finn. He is the new Daniel Bryan, Roman Reigns, John Cena character. He's the one who you are getting behind, at least in real life kayfabe. You can still have people like Vince and Triple H and other. Well, no, Triple H would believe in Finn, but you get my gist. Finn will be the star of the show each week, and he keeps having to prove himself, and eventually he does become the number one contender again. But at the same time, Brock is never there because Brock never really works any shows between WrestleMania and SummerSlam. I think the last big show he worked was the Greatest Royal Rumble, I think, but I don't know. I can't remember exactly. But eventually, yes, Finn owns his chance at the SummerSlam, and he will beating out everyone else, and that's when you get Finn versus Brock 2 at SummerSlam, and then you can just do whatever you want with him. Finn will have proven himself, and he will be more credible to take on Brock. And that is how I would book it. I would say it's just too soon for Finn. It's too soon for anyone, really. Like, you have not built anyone up enough to face and beat Brock. Brock is a untouchable, undefeatable monster at the moment, and it's not gonna come from anyone on the main roster currently, at least for another 8 months. Like, and Finn might not even beat Brock if you go down the path I've said and you have them face each other again at SummerSlam. It might not be Finn. It probably won't be Reigns because we don't know when he's coming back. It probably won't be Cena, even though I'm sure he'll win the 17-time championship sometime between now and WrestleMania next year. I believe it will be a NXT superstar, if not someone coming from New Japan, such as Kenny Omega if he signs. But odds are, if it's not going to be Finn, it's gonna be someone, either AJ Styles, which you should. I think they're building AJ up for the role, so he might be a prime contender for the Rumble. But other than him, it's going to be an NXT star, and it's going to be someone they have that they can. There really shouldn't be any build-up if it's going to be an NXT star. They need to just have that NXT star built up throughout their career. Say they give them the Oscar treatment, where that NXT star he he wins every match. He has a streak going, and then finally he makes it up to the main roster during one of the segments where Paul Heyman is with Brock Lesnar, and they were talking about how Brock Lesnar was an unstoppable force of nature that no one could beat. Finn Balor tried. He proved that anyone could come close, quote unquote, come close, but he didn't have what it takes, so he is also proof that no one can do it. And that's when the NXT superstar debuts, hopefully during WrestleMania season between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. And you have that superstar, they win the Royal Rumble, and they just flat out take the mic from the interviewer who asks them which champion they're going to take before they can even finish the question, and they say, "I want Brock Lesnar." And the next thing you know, Brock comes out to the ring because he'll more than likely be at the Rumble next year if he doesn't go to UFC, which I think, knowing Brock, he's going to want as much money as possible. He's just going to be working for both UFC and WWE. I'm pretty sure that's what he would want to do. And he just comes in the ring. Actually, no, he just circles the ring like he does every now and then. He just chuckles at the guy as Paul Heyman just flat out at the guy, and they leave. And then you'll have Michael Cole saying the stage is set for 60 nights away at WrestleMania. This NXT superstar will challenge Brock Lesnar, the unstoppable beast incarnate, for the Universal Championship. And so WrestleMania comes. The NXT superstar comes in, the Brock Lesnar comes out, and maybe it'll be a squash. That would really, although I think that would make the NXT superstar look way too strong for their first major title uh, victory. Like you need to have these people look human. You need to have some people look superhuman, but the second part of that tome is human. You need to have these people look like they can be beaten at some point. And if you have the NXT superstar just come in and squash Brock Lesnar, then he's gonna become the new Brock Lesnar, and his reign of terror, so to speak, that no one can stop him, is probably going to be longer than Brock's. It would last forever, probably. And it's like, I think I heard Andre the Giant held the title for 15 years straight somehow. I'm just saying that's what I heard on the network at some point. I'm not sure if it's true, but let's say it is true. Then that NXT superstar will probably hold the title for another 15 years. And then the only difference between him and Brock is that for the majority of his title reign, he'll just be the he'll just he'll be on Raw or SmackDown or whatever. So don't make him look too strong. Make him look human a bit. You have him fight Brock. They look evenly matched, and then out of nowhere, he just somehow beats Brock in a 15 to 20 minute affair, and he beats him cleanly, and we finally have the new monster of the WWE, and we can start building up the rest of the guys who have kind of been mistreated or not handled correctly, and you start building all of them up as well as other guys down in NXT, and you bring in guys who are willing to come in from New Japan or maybe even AEW, depending on what happens there, and you get everyone, or at least some people, on equal ground to this new monster, so that they can eventually dethrone him. But as I said before at the beginning of the video, I just don't think Finn is going to be the one to dethrone Lesnar, at least not anytime soon. Oh, and I just want to say I do want to start reviewing Raw and SmackDown every week. I really want to try to make some good things happen with YouTube this year. So Happy New Year, everyone. Let's see what happens with WWE in the next year and see if any of my predictions come true.